The tragedy that occurred at Sunken Orchard was called the shooting of the century. Hi everyone, Ken here. Welcome to This House. Today we set off to Nassau County, New York to explore the house of a family that inspired countless novels. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. The house, which would become known as Sunken Orchard, was originally built by Fay Ingalls as a country escape from a stressful job working as a lawyer in New York City. They hired Stanford White's apprentice, architect George Bruno de Gerstoff, to design for them a sprawling 29-room Georgian mansion. The house was situated in a park-like setting, with several ponds and vegetable gardens connected by winding tree-lined paths. The grounds became a maze of overgrown brush broken up by large fields with manicured gardens set against the natural fauna. Finally, Fay had an escape from work where he could relax and enjoy the fresh air. But as Fay's life became more stressful, he moved to Virginia, selling Sunken Orchard to Charles and Lena McCann, who added a playhouse to the property, boasting an indoor tennis court with locker rooms. The interior of the home had been finished out with deep, rich wood panels broken up by built-ins, as seen in what was called the Louis XV Country Lounge. With overstuffed furniture arranged conversationally on a brightly colored floral rug, the window encasements were specified to be extra deep so that the windows could open inward to fill the house with fresh air. The music room expanded upwards, with arching timbers soaring into the vaulted ceiling. To truly appreciate the scale of this room, notice how small the oversized sofas appear next to the Gothic hearth, of which the upper mantel was said to start at eye level. Tapestries decorated the home all throughout, mostly depicting scenes from nature, as well as people riding horses. Though the couple were living large, they loved to share their home with friends. The tap room was said to be a favorite where they would spend the evening drinking and laughing. But by the 1950s, the family had outgrown the estate and sold it to William Woodward Jr., the heir to his father's banking dynasty. He and his wife Anne loved to ride horses and garden together, so they enjoyed the equestrian estate for several years, as many families had. They converted the playhouse into a recording studio, where soundtracks for all of Hollywood's biggest movies were recorded, including the soundtrack of Around the World in 80 Days. But their relationship took a sharp turn. They began arguing with each other in front of their family and were known to scream at each other in public in fits of rage. William filed for divorce, but Anne refused to sign the papers. In the fall of 1955, a string of burglaries targeted the Woodwards' neighborhood, and that had Anne on edge. On October 30th, 1955, William and Anne attended a Halloween dinner for the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. When they returned home, they each went to their own bedrooms, but Anne awoke in the middle of the night to a strange sound. She claimed she heard a burglar, so she grabbed her shotgun and wandered out of bed. In the dark, she saw a shadowy figure moving outside near the playhouse and immediately began firing. That shadowy figure turned out to be her husband. Anne was later found innocent by a jury as an act of self-defense, but society wanted nothing to do with her anymore. She was no longer invited to parties, so she left for Europe, selling Sunken Orchard to the Oyster Bay Town Golf Club. The media sensationalized William's high-profile death, and several authors began writing books based on the events, including The Two Mrs. Grenvilles and Answered Prayers. Anne and her sons were now the target of the media, with no friends to lean on. After an article was published in Esquire, Anne had had enough. She took her own life, starting a domino effect, which would lead to her two sons doing the same. Before we continue this story, if you or a loved one are experiencing a crisis situation, I'm going to pin a wonderful life-saving resource down below in the comments section. Meanwhile, at Sunken Orchard, the golf club had began extensive renovations, including demolishing an entire wing of the house. It was later briefly owned by the Catholic Society of St. Pius before being sold again. Today, Sunken Orchard has been reverted to a private residence, and much of the original house still stands in its understated beauty. Are there any houses that you would like to see covered on this channel that we have not covered yet? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. I would also like to take a moment to say a special thank you to our This House supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. If you would like to see your name on this screen and show the world your support for the production of these videos, go ahead and join our membership program today. I'll see you next time on This House.